Would you like to get more from the devices you own? Not quite sure where to start? There is help. Catch Powering Up for Non-Techies with Justin Martell, Computer Department Manager at London Drugs, on the Specialty Channel on localwebradio.fm. Would you like to get more from the devices you own? Not quite sure where to start? There is help. Welcome to Powering Up for Non-Techies with Justin Martell, Computer Department Manager at London Drugs. Now, your host.
Yes, this is your host, Eva Marienchild, and I am here with Justin Martell, Computer Department Manager at London Drugs. And today we're talking with Justin about how to diagnose and fix your slow internet connection. And hi, Justin. It's great to be talking with you today.
Hi, Eva. Thank you for having me back. This is a topic I get asked about every single day, and I'm very excited to talk about it.
Awesome. Okay, Justin, there's nothing more frustrating than a painfully slow internet connection or just having to stop everything to reboot the modem, especially in today's day and age when we're also reliant on computers and the internet. So how common is this problem?
It seems everybody these days is having some sort of frustration with their internet access. Mm-hmm. Whether you're just wanting to connect to Netflix, whether you're wanting to just go on Skype or share some documents, whether you're playing games or you have somebody in the house who likes to play games, that sort of thing really needs a lot more juice than it did even a few years ago. Mm-hmm. And we find everybody's getting more and more frustrated because a lot of people just don't understand it. So I'd like to talk a little bit today about where your internet comes from, what dictates how fast it's going to go, and the need for good equipment.
Thank you. I understand your dad was having a similar problem, slow connection speed. He was losing his connection altogether and continuously having to reboot the router. You do say router, right?
Router.
Router.
Right. Yep.
So continually having to reboot the router. If you would, Justin, would you take a few minutes and share that story with us?
Yeah, no problem at all. So he works online for a living. He's working from his computer daily. He needs a good, strong internet connection, doing conference calls, doing online training, all sorts of things like that. So it's very important to have a good internet connection. Mm-hmm. And he was calling me over all the time because he was having his internet drop, or it would work on one device and not another, or he was having to pull the power plug on the router and reset it every once in a while, or just getting typically poor performance, getting only 1 or 2 bars in certain parts of the house, that sort of thing. So I came over and we sat down one day and I just explained what this is all about. Because when you sign up for an internet service provider, they're providing the basic internet to you, and you typically would pay according to the speed that they're going to provide to you. Mm-hmm. Now, for what you're paying for, they give you a simple router, which does wireless for your home in most cases. But the problem is they need to give one of those to all of their customers. So what do they do to save costs? They give you the cheapest one that they can mass produce. So typically the router that you have, if you're using the one given to you, is not very good. It's not very fast compared to the full ones, usually limited at 150 to 300. Wow. We'll talk in a little while about the speeds of some of the new ones. And typically the range isn't very good either. So we looked at what he had. We looked at the options available to him, and I ended up upgrading him to a newer router that's quite a bit faster with better range and works with his existing equipment. He didn't need to change anything else. We set it up in an afternoon. It's quite easy to plug in and pick a name and a password, and we had him on his way. And you know what? Saved me a bunch of headaches because he's not calling me for that sort of thing anymore.
Not about that.
That's right.
So thank you. I know this relates to last week's topic, but if I can just stick a quickie in here. I had a problem where my antivirus software was causing virus. Could you tell us what we should do in that case or why that happens?
Yes. So what you might see these days is a virus program or what I like to call a fake virus, because essentially they're going to mimic the look of a name brand one, and it's going to come up and look completely legitimate to you. Mm-hmm. If you start pushing buttons and that sort of thing and allowing it to run, it's going to cause problems as it gets deeper into your system. So that sort of thing is becoming more and more common, and it's really hard to tell the difference sometimes. There's subtle things like a logo being different or being a little bit off, but the only thing I can really recommend, if it doesn't feel quite right, to remove the program and to reinstall it again from the original source, whether that was the disk or the website that you got it from, sort of thing.
Because it's already been compromised at that point. Okay, got it.
That's right.
Thanks so much. Okay, what uses the most Internet bandwidth? I know that's not a good thing, huh? Too much Internet?
Yeah. People these days are using a lot more Internet than they realize. We look at something like the Netflix service, which has only been around in the mainstream for a few years, maybe 5-6 years. Really, streaming a video over the Internet, that's an amazing thing. 10 years ago, we couldn't even imagine doing live to your living room. So we didn't have the infrastructure in place to support it because it didn't make any sense. So a router or a machine from a few years ago is just not going to support that sort of thing very well. The things that use the most bandwidth are going to be video streaming like Netflix, downloading of things like movies, games, pictures, or playing games. You know, you might have a friend or a son or daughter, somebody in the house who plays an Xbox or a PlayStation on the Internet, or just computer games. And you know what? They take up a lot of bandwidth as well. So for any one of those activities, you should have a good, strong router.
Yes, thank you so much. Justin, is my computer slow or is my Internet the problem?
That's a very good question. A lot of people, when their Internet's not working or when they're getting some stuttering or things aren't loading quickly enough, the first thing you do is blame your computer. Why? Because that's the device you're using. Your router's behind the scenes. Most people don't even really think about it. Yeah. So your computer's misbehaving a little bit. Let's dive into that and just look at the things that might cause your Internet to be slow. On your computer, there's very few things really that handle the Internet connection. There's your Internet browsers. There's things like an app store if you're on a newer computer, that sort of thing, or any games that go onto the web. And typically, if those are the only applications that are being slow, the chances are it's your router or your Internet speed that's the problem. If you're finding overall everything's being slow, say Microsoft Word or any other programs you have that aren't connecting to the Internet on a consistent basis, then it's time to look at your computer.
Okay. All right. Well, folks, it's time for a quick break, and we'll be right back with Justin Martell, and he is the Computer Department Manager at London Drugs, and we'll be talking about how to diagnose and fix your slow Internet connection. One moment.
More Powering Up for Non-Techies with Justin Martell, Computer Department Manager at London Drugs, after this. It's time for more Powering Up for Non-Techies with Justin Martell.
Okie doke. So what dictates my Internet speed, Justin?
Okay, so there's a couple things that dictate how quickly your Internet is going to go. So I'm going to set this up for you to look at a little bit here. Picture your Internet service provider at the top, whoever that might be, TELUS, Shaw, anybody who you're getting your Internet from. And then you follow the line. You go straight down and you find TELUS or Shaw's modem. It's the device that they've given you, and that's what is going to take the Internet from their line and bring it into your house to plugs you can use on your computers. Often from there you'll go to a wireless router a little bit further down the line. And let's think of that as just a big splitter. So the modem brings the Internet into your house, the router splits it, because most people have a laptop and a desktop or a tablet or some smartphones. If you want it on multiple devices, you need the router. And further down from there, one more step to kind of finalize it, is the adapter in the computer, the antenna that picks up the wireless. So these four things together, they make up your Internet speed. We've got the speed that you purchased from the provider, coming down the line to the modem into your house, being split by the router, and being sent to each device. So unfortunately, at each one of those stops along the way, there's a possibility to lose some speed or bandwidth. So that's really what we're looking at here, and the ones that are within your control anyway, which the router, you can have your own. The adapter, there's newer ones available that are faster.
Thank you so much. Now, how do I know what I have? Computer where, just generically speaking?
Yeah, so in order to look at your router, your equipment, to know what you have and what it's capable of, it's best to flip it over and have a look. There should be a model number of some sort on the bottom or the side. And when we're looking at wireless equipment, it's always in a certain type of classification or a certain standard. The most up-to-date one, the newest, is what we call the AC standard, and it's capable of way more than anything in the past was. Some of the products we see in store now are quoting of up to 1,900 megabits a second. Compare that to something that is from 2009, which is the last standard, which many people still have at home. That's a wireless N standard. Its maximum capability was about 450 on some of their top-end products. So to see that massive jump from 450 to 1,900 in just a few years here really surprises a lot of people. The next step down, if you take it even a couple years beyond that, would be the wireless G standard, which was capable of only 54. So we've gone from 54 to 450 to 1,900 in a matter of a decade. So if you look at your device, it'll have that standard sort of marking and say AC, N, or G. And that's a very quick and easy way to classify just how old it is and what it might be capable of.
Wow, there's so much more to it than we will ever know. That, yes, you're right, a decade only, and look at all the difference. What are the best options now for us?
That's right. So most people have gone a decade or so, and we see it every day, where they've got a computer of that age, and you buy the equipment at the same time. When they needed the computer, they bought the router, and they bought the other equipment they needed, and they haven't looked at it since. But now that their Windows XP computer is no longer supported or that sort of thing, and they're looking to upgrade, we'd like to remind them that now is probably a good time to upgrade the network too. Because as I touched on a little earlier, we're using way more internet than we ever did before, and the old machines just don't really cut it for that sort of thing. So some of the better options that I like to talk to people about these days are the newer routers or the power line kits, which I can tell you what those are. So a power line kit is a new type of wireless device that actually uses the electrical wires in your house instead of sending a radio wave over the air.
Oh.
So they come in a kit with two little devices, and they're quite small. They're only a few inches. One of them is going to plug in with your router in the office, in the garage, wherever it is you've got it. The other one you can plug in anywhere else in the house that you're on the same circuit breaker, and you can just run an internet cable right out of that into your device. So it's going to give you internet on the other side of the house without needing to run a cable or run wireless. And it's a very fast, very capable connection. And the people I recommend those for are people with the new smart TVs, for example. They need a really good internet connection to get the Netflix or the YouTube access.
Right.
And most people just don't have an internet cable in their living room or near their TV because that was never needed in the past.
Right.
So this is a really good solution to get that sort of thing across the house. We sell a couple of different power line type of kits at the store. Many of them even offer room to expand into separate rooms or more rooms. D-Link and Linksys are the two companies who are some of the biggest manufacturer of those. The next option I'd like to provide to people is something like the Nighthawk router. You might have heard about this one in some of the press releases or the news, that sort of thing. But essentially this is the best of the best right now. It's getting great reviews. It's the only router I sell that's got its own dual-core processor. So it's got a processor chip like a computer has. It's got its own brain. And it's got really strong antennas. I've gone and set one up in the store just to try it out.
Yeah.
I've got really good feedback, and I like to try things in the store so I can have good recommendations for people. And I've gone through a few routers in there. I like to show smart TV features in the other side of the store, and I can never get a strong connection. I plugged one of these new Nighthawk ones in there, and I've got 5 bars, never drops, tons of speed. I'm just laughing. I love the thing.
Wow.
And it's just an extremely powerful router for anybody who's got an issue where they're saying, I'm not getting the range or the speed I need in the house. You get that. You have to get that. This is going to make your life so much better.
Sounds like it, and I like that you test things. It's important.
That's one of the fun things about our stores is we've got permission from our head office, from our higher-ups, to say, you've got new stuff in, pull it out of the box, try it out, see how it works, tell your customers about it. That's the sort of thing, because we can't give good advice if we don't have any experience with the product.
Yeah, absolutely. You walk the walk.